Hi there. Come on in. I'm Fred Trost. I know it's sloppy spring, but we're back with a full-length show. In fact, tonight we are going to go fishing. We're going to take you steelhead fishing, drift back in time to last year as we drift down the Manistee with Jerry Lee and catch one of those spring rainbows. We're also going to take a look at the question from a panel of experts as to whether any Michigan fish have been proven unsafe to eat. And we'll have our first installment of Glenn Dutterer's rehabilitation of a fawn that was rescued from a pack of dogs last spring. These weren't wild dogs, these were people's house pets on the run that were just about to make a meal of this little fawn. Its abdomen was ripped open, its head and neck mauled, but Glenn luckily nursed it back to health. Now his problem is making this little fawn afraid of man. If it doesn't develop a fear, it will become a problem in the fall when it grows antlers and become a pest to people, even dangerous. This story, trying to make a deer afraid of the people who saved it, is an interesting one. We're going to present it in a series of programs. The first installment is coming up right now, so you stay tuned. It's Thursday night. Time for Michigan Outdoors.
From the rugged shore and woodlands of the north, it's history of copper mines and iron ore, the Great Lakes fisheries. To the farmlands of the southern counties, we'll look around again at all that waits the sportsman in the state of Michigan.
Yards, and you can see she's wearing that red collar, and she's trying to work the deer up the trail.
Okay, now what do you expect is going to happen when the deer comes and sees us?
Well, it doesn't know we're here, and the wind's blowing this way, so it won't get our scent, so it'll have to see us, and deer can't see very well. So when it comes out of that trail, it'll probably even take a few steps this way until it sees us. And when it sees us, it should freeze, and its ears will go up, and it'll stand in that posture and maybe throw its tail up, I don't know. And then just stand there and look, and this would go on for 10 minutes, and that's all we'd take. And then she'll probably give it a goose with the leash to get it going again. And with her reassurance, it should walk up here, as long as it doesn't get my scent, just you guys' scent. I think it'll come up and investigate you, come up and smell. There might be a few false starts to the rear, and she'll.
But she's not at all like she was 8 weeks ago.
Oh no, healthy, vigorous.
Larger, probably.
Oh yeah, much larger. You'd be surprised how much larger she is, or he is, and much more self-confident, and completely healed. There's scars and scabs, but other than that, it's in good health.
Okay, and the deer doesn't like dogs.
Oh no, it's frightened.
Does it like dogs less than an average deer would?
It's certain. I don't know. I've never seen this age of deer react to dogs, but when it sees dogs, it goes on a complete alert, and then we have to be careful or it's gone. It's in a full state of panic.
Okay, well, we could bring your dog out just to get a little touch of it?
You bet.
Does the deer recognize you at all on sight?
No, No, even in the house, or where we keep it in the garage, it has to come up and get my scent, and then when it gets my scent, it reacts.
Oh, here she comes. She comes with us. So why don't we get down and get ready? Should we get down at all, or
no?
Does it matter?
We'll
just stand here.
Yeah.
Okay. Looks like she's pulling it along.
Well, it enjoys being out, and she walks it through the woods and fields and tries to get it accustomed to being outside, because we want it to go wild. And I was teasing her this morning that it's not used to bounding through the tall grass. She just walks trails, and she's going to have to teach it to bound through grass. And she said, well, I'll have to do that. She doesn't bound through grass very well.
Okay, now she looks like she's dressed in a hockey uniform.
Yeah, that's right. She used to play hockey. This is one of her uniforms, but it's all sprayed with mosquito repellent so she can stand that portion of the field with the deer. It's not a dog. I mean, she's not training it to a leash, so she's just coaxing it along.
I would have expected the deer would have come running up like a dog, but here it comes.
Here it comes. See, it hadn't seen us yet.
Does it see us now?
No, it hasn't.
As long as we don't move.
Yeah.
Only moving our lips.
All right, now let's just move a little bit. Oh, there, look.
Move.
Now, see, when I move my hand, it immediately picked up that motion. See the ears up? And it's not real sure what's going on. Now we're standing still. And standing still like this, it's having trouble seeing us. Now it knows something wrong, but it just can't quite figure it out. And of course, it's not getting any cues from Eleonora.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. That flicker of the tail, a little nervousness. Okay, now the cameraman just moved a little bit, and you can see how quick it picked up that movement. But it's still, as long as it's not getting any cues from Eleonora, it'll be nervous, but it shouldn't react too strongly.
He looks like he's looking at her for some reassurance.
You bet. He'll, a lot of times after he's had his morning breakfast of whatever it feeds on, what it can find, the clover, dandelions, it'll come trotting back to the garage because that's its refuge and that's where we feed it milk. But it's a little wary right now. And that constant tail flicking,
that means
it's nervous. It's not in, let's put it this way, it's sort of an alert. And if it decides that it is really frightened, of course it'll throw it straight up and flare it. And we've only seen that reaction from dogs so far. Eleanor, why don't you bring it on in, see if you can coax it on.
Oh, she's trying.
She's been trying, okay.
It may walk straight up to the camera, she said.
When it comes in, I'm going to step back just a little bit behind you, Fred, so it doesn't get my scent right away.
Come on, boy. Do you have a name for it?
Well, Eleanor has a name she uses for smart Alex, Buster. So anybody that's knows more than it, anyone who acts like they know more than they know and is rather smart aleck, she'll often use a derisive term, Buster. Hence the name for this deer, you know.
Now it's coming in.
Now, I say we're trying to wean it, and we've had a lot of success. Let me get its milk bottle and see if it'll come to that.
With the wind not blowing in the deer's direction, it can't smell Glenn, and Glenn says it can't recognize him either. Now, will it recognize the milk bottle? Oh, likes the milk bottle. Dick, swing over and get a shot of what he's doing here. Shaking the milk bottle, and here comes the deer. Doesn't know about the camera. He's more interested in the camera than the milk bottle. Well, he doesn't know what the deal is, does he?
Doesn't quite know what to make of that. Of course, it's getting reassurance from Eleonora.
That's what the mother deer would be doing.
Yeah. Why don't you hand Eleanor the bottle? Because if it gets my scent.
Oh, he likes me. Oh, look at this. Wow. That's the way you do it, right?
Keep it up a little.
Hold it up.
Hold it up like that. That's right. I remember this from the baby days. This little fawn has come a long ways. You could still see around its face and eyes where the dogs had grabbed it. The scars were very evident weeks after the attack. Its neck fur still out of place from the lacerations on its neck. But remember, folks, these were house pets. Dogs like yours and mine that changed personality when they run in packs. But the big problem now is weaning Buster off the bottle and teaching it to be afraid of humans. No easy task, but necessary if this fawn is ever to be released in the wild and not become dangerous to man because it isn't afraid. And remember, we are not advocating keeping a fawn for a pet. It's a very difficult task and oftentimes dangerous. Let's drift back to a drift boat with Jerry Lee when Ed Groves caught his first steelhead.
He's a big one.
Nice bull head.
Are we close enough, OJ?
Oh, you in there? Yeah. Very good.
He's coming out.
You have to be inside.
Yeah, I'm gonna play it to the camera. I'm doing There you go. Here, see if you can back up a little bit.
Drop you down.
Come down. I just want to be able to see him, that's all.
That's okay. Just get around.
Turn that net around, Fred.
Uh-oh. He's not ready.
All right.
Look at that. He's got a little spunk in him yet. Liable to come up here again, OJ. Keep wide on that so you can...
Right by the boat here.
Yeah.
Down below us here.
Well, he came clear out of the water. That's great. He's coming in pretty fast, Ed? He's just hanging out there. Deep hole here. He's going down, I think. There he comes. If we can get him. My net man. This is fun. This is fun.
Stay close.
Come on, Mr. Hicks. Here he comes. Here he comes.
Yeah, just keep his head up now.
Okay, keep his head. He's coming in here. Far back line. Get him right there.
All right.
Hey!
That's
That's a wonderful fish. There you go. That's what we've been looking for.
What time is it?
What time is it? It's time for a fish.
about 10.
You know that's a prime rib dinner too, don't you? All right.
Nice
Brand new
cold
hand.
fish.
Brand new hand.
Hold him up there for the camera.
Yeah. Hold him about like that. Can you get a shot of this, OJ? Now,
Oh,
this looks like a female. It is. It's a beautiful female. Female, but a beautiful fish.
nice fresh fish.
That was fun.
Those steelhead are very vigorous at this time of the year, but they're a fish to be caught. Let's look at last year's March fish right now in our Michigan Outdoors Trophy Report. March was a rather good month for jumbo perch last year. Here's a 2.5 pounder, 15 inches long, that came out of Long Lake up in Presque Isle County, caught by Terry Molsky from Posen. That was the third largest perch in 1983, and it was taken on the classic perch bait, a minnow. Now, not a real common fish reported to the Master Angler program. This is a burbot, a relative of the saltwater codfish. We're going to look at another photo of a burbot to get a better look. And the reason why they aren't more popular is strictly, I think, because of their looks. They have the appearance of an eel in many ways, but burbot are excellent eating. This one was caught early in March when burbot come in from the deep waters to spawn. Weighing 7 pounds 2 ounces, it beats Master Angler minimum by 2 pounds. Caught on a spawn sack in the Betsy River Harbor by Gary Budzinski of East Lansing. He evidently was fishing for steelhead. That burbot must have been quite a surprise. And here's a nice-looking steelhead like Gary was after. The hint of the rainbow stripe down its side. It weighed 14 pounds 11 ounces, 32 inches long. It was also caught up in Benzie County on the Platte River. Dennis Kinzer from Pontiac is a proud angler, but you know, the interesting thing is this trout was caught on a live minnow, not what you'd call traditional steelhead bait, but obviously it works. The only problem I think would be keeping the minnows alive if you were wading the banks, but might be worth a try though. And here's one of those die-hard big lake trollers who ventured out onto Lake Michigan the end of March last year, snow still on the ground. He caught himself a Master Angler brown trout, 15 pounds 4 ounces. He was trolling a Hottentot off Muskegon. That's Bob Thomas from Kent City. You know, it almost looks like a lamprey scar on the side of that brown trout. A reminder that that pest is still around. And finally, a beautiful steelhead that came out of the Platte River, 14 pounds 15 ounces, taken on a wiggler by James Mason of Pontiac. Nice fish, caught on the last day of March 1983. You know, fish like this are being caught up there right now. It's a nice picture too, Jim. In fact, we're going to make you our Michigan Outdoors Master Angler of the Week. Speaking of cleanups, we haven't done anything on the show about the chemical contaminants that get all the press and so on. And we have gotten a few letters on that. Why don't you read one?
There's one from Grand Rapids. I have been watching your program for about a year now. Why aren't you addressing the problem of dioxin, PCB, DDT, mercury, and lead in game fish? I know a lot of sportsmen in Michigan are concerned about what is being done in Michigan. Are Michigan fish safe to eat? After paying high license fees, are we safe to feed these fish to our children? These are just a few questions I am sure sportsmen like myself would like answered. Can you get the professor from Michigan State University who is doing dioxin research on your program?
We absolutely can, and we did. This was down at the Boat and Fishing Show. We held a seminar down there, and I walked into it with the cameras rolling.
The basic philosophy that we're trying to say.
Could I butt in a second?
You guys mind?
What we're doing is popping in on this panel discussion here on Tuesday night, which poses the question, are any Michigan fish unsafe to eat? Okay? This is sort of a serious part here of the Boat and Fishing Show, but something which is very important. Dr. Ron Skoog, DNR Director. Are any Michigan fish unsafe to eat, in your estimation? What have you been telling the crowd?
Well, we've been telling them that there are situations, and such as was just explained, fish in our advisory, for example, from the Saginaw, Tippecanoe rivers, downstream, particularly from the Dow area, there's enough concern being expressed with regard to the contaminants in the river system there and in the fish we've been testing to warrant warning people not to eat fish from that area. It'd be better off not to do that.
Okay, now the Public Health Department is issuing those warnings, right?
That's correct.
Okay, let me move down here to Public Health. Dr. Humphreys, you have issued the warning. Bottom line, are they safe or unsafe to eat? If I took them, cooked them up in a recipe, would they be unsafe?
You haven't named the fish or the source.
Okay, let's take a carp from below the Tittabawassee. Is it unsafe if I ate one today?
We would feel that carp from the Tittabawassee River should not be eaten. It stands a good probability of being unsafe.
What would happen to me if I ate it?
Probably nothing.
Okay, now I'm not going to press you any farther on that. This is something that we have to make up our minds on. Dr. Matt Zabik. You know, big fella, you started some research on dioxin that really got a lot of publicity.
Yes.
You proud of that?
Well,
How do you feel about that?
I never expected all the publicity that we got from that study because it was a very preliminary type study and it was way overplayed in the press as far as the scare end of it.
What did your study that your students did say about dioxin?
Says that we found dioxin in rivers and streams in Michigan at the part per trillion level, and with the limited number of samples that we should go in there and do a full-scale study and take a good look at it and really determine what's there. Because dioxin is toxic. You have to be concerned if you find any, and so we should look at it further.
And what's the upshot of this? Are Michigan fish safe to eat? Are any unsafe to eat because of dioxin?
Well,
Is dioxin poisoning us?
I don't believe dioxin is poisonous at this point because the fish that we found in there were bottom feeders and rather limited areas were involved. So we're not talking about the whole state of Michigan. We're talking about very specific areas that had the dioxin contaminated fish.
Complicated issue that's turned into a political football?
Well, to some extent, yes, but I still think that when you're dealing with toxic compounds, you have to be concerned. And I think that's what's happened. Maybe it's been overplayed, though.
So what we're talking about here is a chemical concern. Let's see, DNR is consulting with Public Health right now.
I'd like to just expound a little on fish elsewhere. I'm not sure what Dr. Zabith was saying there. I couldn't hear him, but...
I get the feeling that what we're talking about is a concern and a warning. No valid proof that anyone has ever been hurt.
As I was saying here earlier, many of these contaminants are really from the past, and they're residues, you might say, that exist in our waterways and in the silt and in the bottoms of the certain lakes and certain streams. And I think the problems in the Great Lakes have shown a great decrease in the contaminants over the last 4 or 5 years. Our coho salmon on a briefing I just had seem to be quite clean now, and I wouldn't have any problem eating a coho at all from the Great Lakes. And certainly there are other kinds of fish such as perch and crappies and bass and northern pike, for example, from our inland system that I think basically there's no problem with them either because they are existing in systems where there's very low levels, if any, contaminants at all, probably none.
So I guess I posed the question, are any fish unsafe to eat? Has anyone been harmed in this state from the fish that they've eaten out of those rivers? We know people have eaten fish.
That's a very hard question to answer. I mean, the one that you asked me just a moment ago was kind of loaded. I could give you a little cup of arsenic, and you could drink it and probably receive that toxic substance and not have any ill effect. But I wouldn't advise you do it too often or too much. That's the philosophy behind our fish advisory, is not that eating any given fish is going to harm you in an untoward manner, but rather that you shouldn't, where we have been able to identify fish species and areas with contaminants, that you should refrain from eating those or reduce your exposure. Cut down. Women and small children should avoid these because some of the contaminants concerned are fat soluble to stay in your body your whole life. We don't have all those answers yet, so we like to have the precaution.
What about chemicals you haven't studied, like food additives in the processed foods we eat? Have they been studied?
No, not all of them, no. And that's one of the problems we're faced in the 1980s, is we've discovered that in the industrial age here in America, we have invented many synthetic chemicals which have made our lives better, richer, and more easy. But we don't know toxicologically what all those chemicals may mean to us. On the other hand, I wouldn't really lose a lot of sleep over it because Americans are sleeping better and living longer than ever before. The state of health of the nation is in very good condition compared to worldwide. So it may be the bottom line may be that we're living with many different kinds of contaminants, which in excess quantities are potentially toxic, but we can cope with at the low levels we're being exposed to on a regular basis.
Well, that was an interview. We spent about 6 minutes right there trying to get the answers. And Greg Weber, you had an excellent question, but all I can say is that on Michigan Outdoors next week, we are going to have a fish recipe. And I'm not worried about eating the fish that we get. I'm not worried either about eating the honey that we have in the state. You know, they had a load of honey that they said was loaded with BPP. That's right. Shaking the milk bottle, and here comes the deer. Doesn't know about the camera. He's more interested in the camera than the milk bottle. Well, he doesn't know what the deal is,
Doesn't quite
does he?
know what to make of that. Of course, it's getting reassurance from Eleonora.
That's what the mother deer would be doing.
Yeah. Why don't you hand Eleanor the bottle? Because if it gets my scent.
Oh, he likes me. Oh, look at this. Wow. That's the way you do it, right?
Keep it up a little.
Hold it up.
Hold it up like that. That's right. I remember this from the baby days.
But now, Fred, it won't do that for me.
It won't do this for you?
No.
Well, look, you can see the scar. There's one scar right up there from where the dogs...
And also on its neck.
On its neck here?
Some of those.
Around the side of the neck.
Feel them, Fred, help.
Well, he didn't like me to touch him. He's really pulling.